Why, hello, friends. Welcome on into Coffee with Brodes. How is everybody on this fantastic morning? I hope everyone's doing well. Here we are, another day, another disgusting, brutal, terrible Philadelphia Phillies loss. A pretty fun game last night in terms of the Eastern Conference Finals, though. Trae Young going off, doing his thing, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about Ben Simmons and his defense and how you can't win without it when I'm watching a player like Trae Young who can't defend a lick, yet offensively can produce like no other. It's the NBA. It's the NBA in 2021. Scoring without defense is significantly more important than defending without offense. And I'm sick and tired of hearing that you can't win without Ben Simmons' defense. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. I'm watching players around the league score the basketball who can't defend a lick and still produce in the postseason. Hell, Furkan Korkmaz had more production than Ben Simmons. That's pathetic. That's horrendous. Not everyone can get away with the no defense thing, but it just shows you where this league is. All right, before we continue, it's pretty damn simple here. It's about taking that nice sip of coffee in the morning. It's exactly what we're going to do right now. Oh, that's good. That's real good. We got people screaming to DFA, David Hale. We got people screaming at Hector Neris in the chat right now. He's batting practice, basically. That's just so damn funny. All right, we'll start things off here with Zach. Zach says he's going to be mad if the Hawks beat the Bucks because that should have been us. Yeah, I don't really think that way. Like, I know that there's a bunch of my buddies that can't watch this series and they just can't get their head around it. They can't do it. I have no issues with it. I can watch the series easily. I don't have a problem with watching Trae Young go off in this series either. There's always those teams, always those seasons where the one team that nobody thought's going to do anything is going to go on a little bit of a run. And I'll just say this, and maybe I'm scarred because of Ben Simmons because these two don't play like one another at all. But there's an element to Giannis where the guy doesn't shoot a basketball. And I can't get over that. I can't get over that. Now, there's a difference because he's willing to score 30 plus points. He's willing to go to the basket. He's willing to get fouled. He's a way more willing player to do everything offensively than Ben. So it's not the same at all. But there's an element to me of watching another player who doesn't shoot a basketball. And I just wonder, what if? What if this man learned how to get a jumper? How much different it would be. And he's willing. It's not like he's great at it though. But he doesn't shoot. He doesn't shoot. Just crazy. Well, he does shoot, but he's not a good shooter, I guess. Motrick says, imagine if Ben Simmons comes out next season and proves everybody wrong. Man, that would be amazing for him. Yeah, but he won't. I mean, that's nice in theory. That really is. That's a beautiful wish. That's nice. That's wishful thinking. But I mean, it's crazy. You're going to see videos resurface. You're going to see videos of him working out in the gym. You're going to see all this. We've been through this before. It's not as if Ben Simmons doesn't know. It's not as if Ben Simmons didn't work on his free throws with Sam Cassell all season long. And then in the biggest moments, there was something that went wrong and he wasn't able to get over that mental hump. This is all mental. All right. This is just a mental side of the game that you can't fix in the gym. You can't fix by taking jump shots in an empty arena and then think all of a sudden that it's just going to work out perfectly whenever he re-enters the NBA next season. It's just not what it is. It's deeper than that. It's all upstairs in the head. And I don't know how you're just going to magically snap your fingers and get over that issue. Get over that issue. Ben tricked us. You're not wrong. Simmons going to Orlando to form a new Splash Brothers with Fultz. Could you imagine that? That's pretty damn funny. Austin says, nice mug. Thank you. I got the old Calgary mug back when I went on my trip to Calgary. Damn right. I'm a mug guy. I got 55 billion mugs hanging out in my coffee mug cabinet. And it's funny because I use like the same 3 or 4. So I got 7 billion and I use the same 3. Isn't that how it always is, though? That's basically what it is in everything. Oh, so damn good. It's like hitting different this morning for sure. Um, what were the Islanders doing last night during the game? I have no idea. After the game, yeah, they started throwing beer cans and throwing all sorts of stuff on the ice because they won game 6 in overtime because of a turnover. And now they forced the game 7. And here's all the Islander fans just tossing all sorts of beer cans on the ice. And I'm watching players try and dodge them as they celebrate. I don't know what the Islanders fans were doing. I think they just had an emotional moment. That's for damn sure. And a very, very emotional moment. Savion thinks that if Ben had the will that Giannis had, then there wouldn't be so much talk about trading Ben. And if you still want Ben traded, then Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal would look more realistic. Oh, you're saying if he played, oh yeah, no doubt about it. If he played at that level. But I don't think we'd be having that same conversation. You're right. We wouldn't, because at the point with the mental side of the game, there's no mental block with Giannis. Giannis will pull it up almost too much. You have to stop him from shooting bad shots. You have to stop him from taking threes. And so funny, right? Like, I was thinking about this the other day when I was driving around. In what universe do you have to scream at a basketball player to shoot? Right? I mean, it's always the other way around. Stop shooting. Hey, Swaggy P, Nick Young, you suck. Stop taking shots. Furkan, you suck. Stop taking shots. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Scream at these players for shooting too much. Stop taking the shots. You are bad. You are a bad basketball player. Stop taking shots. Yet here we are going to the most obnoxious degree with another player where it's like, please do anything. Take bad shots. We beg of you. Take bad threes so we can scream about that. It's like, it's not how this is supposed to go. It's not how this game is supposed to go. Yet here we are. Oh, it's sick. It really is sick. It's like the Philadelphia Phillies and their offense, or their pitching. Their offense day one in this series, in this 2-game set, was bad. They could not get that timely hit. They went like 1 of 10 with runners in scoring position or something of that nature, where they left a ton of guys on base, and then their bullpen was great. And now you fast forward one day, their bullpen was a flat-out disaster, and their offense was giving you 5-run leads, 4-run leads, and then 1-run lead heading into Hector Neris with the save, and they just looked like one of the most disgusting things ever. Zach asked if I think that we actually will trade Ben. I don't know. I think it's possible if the offers are on the table, which Brian Windhorst is saying that there will be over a dozen offers if Ben Simmons is made available. I think that they're at least doing their due diligence and they're checking to see what's around there and what his market is like. Absolutely. You got to get better offensively. You got to help out this team, and they need to be able to generate in the half court, because that's what playoff basketball is all about. So Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey, they're not dumb people. But I think that there's an element to this where Doc Rivers wants Ben still, and Daryl Morey is going to have to overstep the head coach. That's what it's going to have to be. Someone called into the Anytime hotline and basically said this, because I mentioned how if you move Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum and you have Maxey, McCollum, Seth, which would just be a horrendous defensive tandem, I will admit that, and you also add Tobias and Joel into the mix, you're still a second-round team. So what are you doing? And this caller basically said, well, if you're just going to trade Ben to be a second-round playoff team again, why would you trade Ben? And because you're closer to getting a team that makes sense when it comes to half-court sets, though. That's why I would do it. But like you're fantasizing that Ben is something better than a second-round exit. He's not. That's what this team consistently is under him, because you can't play playoff basketball with Ben when he's doing absolutely nothing on one side of the floor and not even giving you we're told he's an elite defender, and he is. I mean, I get it. He is. But I did not see that really in that series after maybe 1 or 2 games, maybe after the first initial switch of Danny Green to Ben Simmons after that. And, you don't you hear well, Trae Young shot poorly. Trae Young is not a great shooter. He's not. So it's not as if Ben Simmons really made him be an awful shooter. He's not a good shooter. Last night, Trae Young's jacking up threes left and right. And it's like, dude, you're bailing out the Bucks. That's what they want you to do. Penetrate. Get to the paint. Force them to make a decision. Utilize the pick and roll. And every time he did that, he got a wide open look to John Collins. He got a wide open floater. He hit Clint Capella with the lob. He's not a good shooter. That's not what he is. Just jacks up all these threes. He shoots 34%. That's not good. So with Ben, he wasn't even giving you anything on the offensive side. And then defensively, he was like, yeah, all right, okay, all right. Not $30 million worth. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So if you're telling me you can get rid of him to be a second-round exit again, you're closer to not being a second-round exit if you have players that can actually work in a half-court setting. So that's why I would still do it. Trae never scored 46 on Ben. It's not about scoring 46 because of the way that they maneuvered around. I think it might have even been 48. Was it 48 or was it 46? I don't even know. But it's not about that. You lost the series. And the way that they played the pick and roll game, he didn't do a good job stopping it. They affected that pick and roll game nonstop. And if they're going to continuously do the drop coverage, well, you're going to be in some trouble. What was it, 48? I forget. I need to look. Trae Young dropped 48. Yeah, I didn't think 46 was right. It's not just about the individual droppage. It's not just about the individual amount of points. It's about the way that they operate against the Sixers. Got Clint Capella wide open looks, got wide open floaters. Able to penetrate the paint very easily. Utilizing that switch off that double drag, and then that switch early, bang. You get a switch situation, and then, maybe there's a possibility that Trae Young gets on Tobias Harris, or Trae Young gets on another defender. And then, boom, they just get to explode from there and take advantage of some of that. Yeah, the difference is, though, Justin, because Justin says the Hawks remind me of the Heat from last year. The difference is they're doing it in road atmospheres. They're doing this in an actual building with 20,000 screaming fans, and it's not as if people are all over the place mentally, emotionally, away from their family, playing in the bubble, moving to Orlando, getting swab tested every single day in these rooms and have to scan these IDs every place they go. And, the environment of the bubble was something that really did change what was going on in the journey of these seasons. Now, you're basically back to full normalcy in some of these places, and you're going on the road, and you're winning in Milwaukee, and you're winning in Philadelphia, and you're winning in Madison Square Garden with 20,000 and people all over the court and fans in your face. And when you're trying to inbound the ball, Trae Young's yapping back and forth with some of the drunk idiots in the front row. Like, now it's actually playoff basketball, where the Miami Heat, there was always an element of, well, you're a couple months into a pandemic and you're forcing these players to go back when nobody truly knows what's going on at that time. And there was a definite side of that for sure. Would I trade Ben Simmons for Wiggins 7th and a 14th? Probably not. No, that's nothing that really does tickle my fancy. No, none of that gets me excited at all. So no. Wiggins 7 and 14? Absolutely not. I would not trade Ben Simmons for that. No. Nets might want to move Harden or Kyrie. Why? Why are they trading Harden and Kyrie all of a sudden? Did you see how far they went when they basically had one player? Could you imagine when they have all three that are going to be healthy? Now, you don't know if they're ever going to all be healthy at the same time, of course, but in what universe are they trading James Harden and Kyrie Irving? There are two acquisitions when they made it to Game 7 overtime playing with one player. I don't see that being a reality of a situation. Trae Young almost had 50 and they won by 3. Yeah, but that's irrelevant. I don't like that. I really don't like that narrative, because it's like, who cares how much the star had? That's how this game works. Stars are going to have a lot of points in playoff games. So you need that first, and then they almost wash each other out, or one outcompetes the other. But it's not about how much you win by when one team goes off for, or one player goes off for X amount of points. Why? Because that's irrelevant to what's going to happen in Game 2. What happened in Game 1, 48 points and winning by 3, teams are going to make adjustments. Teams are going to do different things. Maybe you don't see the drop coverage with the big man. Maybe you try something different in that area when it comes to that, whatever the case may be. Just because you scored 48 and won by X amount of points, that actually has zero relevance to what's going to happen in game 2. They all have their own different personalities. The only thing that matters is they're up by 1. They're winning the series 1-0. I don't think that this Bucks team is some insane team that the Hawks, there's no way they could win. I don't look at this Bucks team as a team that's so unbeatable or anything. What are we talking about, Kuzma? What are we talking about, Kuzma? We don't want anything to do with Kyle Kuzma. Why are we saying Kuzma? Did something happen with him? There's a report that the Nets are willing to listen for Kyrie trades. Who's reporting that, though? Who is reporting that? Let me see. Is it like an actual person, or is it just stupid little Twitter going around and having themselves a field day? There's a big difference between the two. I don't really see Kyrie Irving trading or trending anywhere or seeing anybody talking about him. Not anyone big, not anyone of like big significance, unless I'm missing something, but RJ says, okay, then let Trae go for 48 again, then if it don't matter. No, I'm lost in what you're saying. Players score a lot in playoff games. Kevin Durant can have 40 and the Nets can win by 3. Kevin Durant can have 40 and then the Nets lose by 5. You won a game when Joel Embiid had 40 points. You lost a game when Joel Embiid had 39 points. It's not about, well, the Sixers only lost by this when Joel had 39, and when he had 40, they won by this. It doesn't matter. Stars are going to get theirs, is my point. So when KD has 48 points and they win, and then KD has 48 points and they lose, you know what I'm saying? It's not really about that. That's not how it plays out. I'm using the Sixers as an example. The Sixers literally lost game 1 when Joel Embiid had 39 points, and they won game 2 when Joel Embiid had 40 points. You need your stars to go off, and it's either your stars are going to just counter the opposing star with enough to secure the victory, or the stars counter one another and it's a complete wash, and then you need that X player to step up off the bench, whether it's going to be John Collins, whether it's going to be Gallinari, whether it's going to be whoever it is on the Milwaukee Bucks, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. That's how the NBA playoffs work. Michael says, good morning, brother. I honestly want Bradley Beal for Simmons. I think it would be a perfect fit. Well, yeah, it just comes down to, are the Washington Wizards willing to give up Bradley Beal for a player like Ben Simmons? I just don't know. I truly do not know what exactly teams would be willing to give up, what more the Sixers would have to give up in a scenario like that as well. Sixers 205 wants me traded, apparently. Sixers 205 says, let's trade Ben and Brodes Media for Beal. Enjoy DC. So you're saying you want me out of here? Well, guess what? I ain't going anywhere. So you're stuck with me. You have me. This is all part of it. It's just part of the Philly experience. Unfortunately for you, apparently. Benji says that he feels Morey will trade away all our future with Ben for a superstar. Probably, yeah. Probably. Yes, he would be willing to move on from first-round picks, a lot of them. He would be willing to move on from Ben Simmons. He'd throw a young player into the mix for a superstar? Absolutely. And I don't think he's wrong for doing that. And I'm excited for that, actually. And it's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. It's something that I actually prefer. It's something that I actually demand. I want to see Daryl Morey make a big splash, get rid of some first-round picks, move on from a young gun, trade Ben Simmons to bring in a superstar. You said superstar. You didn't say some random schmuck. You didn't say some random nobody. You didn't say some average player where you're selling Ben Simmons for short. You're talking about getting a superstar. Yeah, well, if you can get a superstar, I'm all here for it. No doubt about it. Nathan, I agree with you. Morey does make moves. He will not sit on his hands. You're right. He is aggressive. He's in that mode. And he's not dumb. He's a guy who just watched the playoffs play out. And when you watch a player who can't defend like Trae Young and he's scoring all over the place, it seems pretty recognizable to me. I mean, it's pretty standard. It's set right there, and you can see it. If you have a special skill set offensively, this narrative of how you're going to win games if Ben Simmons isn't going to be able to defend, or if he, it's like you don't need Ben Simmons' defense to win. He's hurting you more than he's helping you. And I saw Victor Williams, who does a lot of good stuff with the Eagles and does a lot of good stuff with what he's built on Twitter. But he tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Field goal percentage when Ben Simmons is guarding a specific player this season. Donovan Mitchell, 38%. Lillard, 33%. Zion, 33%. Siakam, 29%. Beal, 25%. De'Aaron Fox, 25%. Giannis, 25%. While those are all true, and he does hold players to low field goal percentages in regular season matchups, I don't know how you can really look at that as something to hold your hat on and to be really excited about as you look into next year. He crushes you more than he helps you in so many damn ways in the playoffs. Anything that Ben Simmons does in the regular season is just truly irrelevant this point moving forward. We know what he can do in the regular season. It doesn't relate. It does not relate to when the moment gets bigger. So unless he's going out there taking 15 legitimate jump shots, legitimate actual 17-footers, 18-footers, 20-footers, 12-footers, like actual serious-looking jump shots, and taking 15 a game for 5 weeks, 6 weeks in a row, it's irrelevant what Ben Simmons does in the regular season. Yeah, see, I don't know about this whole SGA thing. I see SGA all over the place of Twitter. And would you trade Ben Simmons for SGA? He averaged about 24 points per game last year. He gave you 35 games, 33 minutes. He shoots 42% from three, which is pretty nice. He is a nice player. I just don't know if, I don't know. He's a nice player. I just don't know. See, because to me, I want that player. Like, I'm so sold in my brain on being in championship caliber mode. You bring in SGA, you're not in championship caliber mode. You have to look for the Beals, the Lillards, names of that nature. We talked about it with Daryl Morey. You have to make a splash for a superstar. That's what it takes. So I have this mindset of a player of that caliber, a player that will help you go on a serious playoff run, go on a journey, an actual veteran, been around the block, playoff type of atmosphere point guard. That's what I'm going with in my brain. So that's where I'm somewhat sucked in at right now. And that isn't something that moves my needle to that level. But I know he's a good player. Well, who knows what the hell the Thunder are doing? The chat's saying right now Thunder would never give up on him. OKC would never do that. Who the hell knows what the hell is going on with them? Now, it does seem like they do have a plan. It's a give me every first-round pick possible plan. And I know the Sixers' first-round picks are not going to be moving the needle for them, considering it's going to be deep into the 20s. No, I got you. Look, I'm always saying it because I know the name has been thrown out there a billion times. Now, there is an element to this where if you look at the the betting trade offers or the betting odds, and you can utilize DraftKings Sportsbook promo code Brodes when you sign up for great promotions and a bunch of different odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Once again, promo code Brodes. But if you go look, the Wizards are a decent value possible for a trade with Ben Simmons. And maybe not for Bradley Beal. It's possible that Ben Simmons now gets you a player like Russell Westbrook. And it's like, wow. To move on from Ben Simmons for a player like Russell Westbrook is now the category and tier. And Russell Westbrook stinks like no other. He's awful. He is not a winning player. All he does is take horrendous shots after horrendous shots and jack up bad threes and take bad looks and think he's the guy when he's not the guy. And it's like, that's the caliber. Can you imagine Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid playing together and hoping that that's something that could be beneficial? You know, it's nothing Russell Westbrook does is beneficial. So could you imagine a scenario where that's the player in return that you get if it's not Bradley Beal? That would be disturbing as hell. I would be in the camp of maybe even keeping Ben Simmons over trading for Russell Westbrook. Oh, and that's so bad. And that's so bad. Gabriel says Russell can shoot the goddamn basketball. You're right, he can, but he's just not a winning player. Everything surrounding Russell Westbrook is a loser player, a loser player. So you're right, he technically can. In theory, he can shoot a basketball, but I would not feel good heading into a season with Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid as your two tandem. I just wouldn't. It would be so bad. Well, no, I mean, he can shoot. What they're saying is because TJ responds with, Russell can't shoot. No, I know he can't make his shots. That's different. He can't make his shots. We're so low on where Ben Simmons is now that us saying a player who can't score shooting the basketball is technically a player who can shoot, because we're not even talking about making or missing shots anymore. We're talking about the physical ability to let the ball roll off of your fingertips. That's now the new low of being able to shoot a basketball or not. I didn't say make a basket. I said shoot a basketball. Big difference. Big difference. No, Chima, he's a loser. Russell Westbrook is an absolute loser. Chima says that I'm wrong about him. He didn't carry a bum OKC team to the playoffs. Doesn't equate to a loser. No, he does nothing that relates to winning basketball. Nothing. He's a regular season basketball player at this point. What he did before in the past with James Harden and what he did with Kevin Durant, that's an earlier stage into his career. What he does now is just care about triple doubles, individual statistics, and there's players that do that. And I get it. He gives you effort. It's not like he doesn't work hard. He does. He works hard, and he does give maximum effort, and he flies to the rim, and he does all that, which is all great and dandy. He does not relate to a winning brand of basketball at all. He just cares about individual statistics, his own thing, bad shot selections. I want nothing to do with Russell Westbrook. He's a loser player. He's a loser. I know what season you're talking about. He's a loser player. Regular season does not matter to me. MVP season, that's all great and dandy. MVP means nothing to me. Regular season means nothing to me. That means nothing to me. When you watch Russell Westbrook, you see a loser player. It's just clear as day. You watch a player who is a loser. It's just that simple. I want nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. I heard Draymond Green, the Warriors' 2 first-round picks for Ben Simmons. No, I don't think that that's something that I want. That's not something that I want. I'm looking for a point guard, a real, legitimate point guard. Davey says that Daryl has to sit down with Ben and tell him face-to-face that he has to get chained to a net all offseason and work on his game. That's not what it is. It's not what it is. It's not that Ben Simmons doesn't take jump shots in an empty gym and work on his game. It's not what it is. It's mental. It's mental. Like this narrative that he's got to take jump shots. I've seen him make 5 billion three-pointers in a row in the corner before games begin. He works on his free throws with Sam Cassell all the time in an empty gym. It's so past just working on his game. You need to take jump shots. You need to work on your craft in the offseason. It goes so much deeper than that. This is mental. This is a mental side of the game of basketball that is not worked out. This is a trigger. This is something that is triggered in your head due to trauma and PTSD and moments where, look, we all have something that gets us going, gets us anxious, gets us uncomfortable. For him, it's basketball. It's basketball, which is unbelievable. But his trigger is playing the sport of basketball in a moment that is too big for him, with a lot of fans, with a lot of pressure, with playoffs in mind, with stepping up to the free throw line. It's that. You can do it 10 billion times with nobody around you. It's not about doing it when no one's around you. He can't do it when there's people in front of him. And that's what it is. So it really isn't anything to do with, like, you got to make shots in the offseason, Ben, or you're going to get moved. He can make 75 trillion shots in the offseason. It's doing it in a game that he can't get over. It's mental. And it's so simple to say, well, if you make them in the open gym, maybe it becomes second nature. Great. Maybe. Maybe's been 5 years now. It ain't maybe. It's not. The answer is it doesn't. It doesn't happen. Go back and watch these jump shot videos. It looks smooth as hell. He's dribbling, shooting off the bounce, shooting off a dribble. It's like, what is going on? It doesn't happen in the game. It's crazy. There is a market for him. That's wrong. That's wrong. There is a market for Ben Simmons. It's not nobody wants him. There's going to be plenty of offers for Ben Simmons. Oh, I'm sure they're going to work on that. Now, Mikey Miss said that he was, I guess maybe he did a little research. He dug into it a little bit. The Ben Simmons camp wants to be here and is willing to do anything to be here. Now, here's what I'll say about that. I don't think he wants to be here because it's Philly. I think he wants to be here because of the personal brand. How bad of a look is it that Ben Simmons has to get moved on from because of the disaster that went down? I think he wants to be here because then it's like, I worked myself out of this. I got myself out of this funk. I'm Ben Simmons. That's me. I'm not a failure. I didn't fail. I don't think it has anything to do with wanting to be in Philly because of Philly, wanting to be in Philly because of Joel, wanting to be in Philly because of anything other than it would be bad for his image if he was so disgustingly poor that he got traded for such cheaper value than anticipated, like a James Harden or a Bradley Beal, and he gets shipped to a city that blows and isn't a basketball town. So I think it's more just for the personal image that he wants to stay here more than it is actually the sport of basketball and the winning side of things. Well, yeah, if you can get De'Aaron Fox, I'm driving Ben Simmons to the airport in a second. That's for damn sure. TJ says that Sixers really decided to let Jimmy walk to make Ben happy. But at the time, that wasn't wrong. And let's not act like Jimmy Butler is some amazing, unbelievable talent that you can't win without Jimmy Butler. Oh, trust me, plenty of organizations win without Jimmy Butler. Keeping Ben Simmons at the time of the Jimmy Butler drama was not wrong. See, like, there's a breaking point, and we all see that there's a breaking point. Prior to this breaking point, believing in Ben Simmons was not naive, was not outrageous, was not silly. At the time of that, moving on from Jimmy Butler's fine. It's not a huge deal. Now, though, yeah, now that you have hindsight, you see, but you're not fixed with Jimmy Butler. All right, there's a million issues with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is having issues with the Miami Heat. There are problems with Jimmy, trust me. So let's not act like, we let Steph Curry walk out the door or Kevin Durant walk out the door. It's Jimmy Butler. You can win without Jimmy Butler. I have no issues with, prior to this season, believing in Ben Simmons because 99.9% of players grow. So I was willing to take a chance on Ben Simmons falling in this 99.9%. Unfortunately, he's in that 0.1. Clayton states that even though he's not a fan of the Sixers, I really got to give them credit. They really did a good job winning games in the regular season. Also did a good job in the playoffs. Great job. What do we... No. Clayton, nope. That is very, very wrong. That's not how this works here. It was a failure. By the way, speaking of failing, how funny is this? There were quotes thrown around from Doc Rivers when he first got here. I saw these tweets courtesy of Derek Bodner, who covers the Sixers for The Athletic. I think I screenshotted it. Yeah. Rivers on June 5th. If your goal is to get out of the second round, how low are your goals? If that happened, and that's all you get, that's not successful for me. June 20th. This team last year got swept in the first round. I'm not going to make this a negative year. Oh, really? Doc, come on, man. Read the room. You failed miserably. You're the first overall seed in the Eastern Conference. You lost to the 5th seed. You're telling me you're not looking at this as a negative? You're not looking at this as an absolute failure that you lost as the 1 seed, that you disgustingly lost? Yeah, Doc Rivers is a clown. I agree with Iceman. Doc Rivers is a clown. He's not a good coach. He's not a good coach. He coached horrendously. He coached worse than Brett Brown coached. That is reality. It's funny. People don't want to admit that, but it is so damn true that Brett Brown coached better than Doc Rivers coached in the playoffs. It's reality. It's reality. People forget the good moves that Brett Brown made going toe-to-toe with Nick Nurse in a playoff series. I saw nothing good about Doc Rivers. Nothing good about Doc at all. To the point where I don't feel good about it in the slightest. Now, I heard some good dialogue about this, some good conversation. And it was basically, if you were the GM, if you were Daryl Morey, would you move on from Doc Rivers? And it's so hard to move on from him and take away the contract, even though that's a big part of it, because that's one of the reasons why he's going to still be here is they paid him that money. They paid him to be here and all that. Well, there is this element of, would you move on from him? And I would go to Joel. Joel, how do you feel? What are you thinking, Joel? You like him? Do you think he's got enough? And if Joel's like, dude, this guy's a fraud. Did you see how he coached in the playoffs? I'd be like, okay, you're right. Let's move on. Or if Joel's like, no, he's good. Ben Simmons was more of the problem. Our team needed help. Let's make some moves internally. Let's grab some more players. Let's switch some things up personnel-wise. We can move forward with Doc as long as we change some personnel decisions. Okay, well, then that's the move that I would do. So I'd go to Joel Embiid and basically ask him how he felt about things before I would make that decision on Doc Rivers. But, yeah, there's no doubt about it that he's a problem for sure. And by the way, maybe we didn't give Brett Brown enough credit with his coaching staff. Look at what Monty Williams is doing. Look at what's going on with Boston right now. This narrative that Brett Brown sucked, just funny. Things keep coming around. Brett Brown greater than Glenn, and Kapler is greater than Joe Girardi. I have no words for that because right now the numbers are basing that statement true. Basing that statement true. Philly really giving out max contract to role players? Well, I mean, I still think Ben Simmons is more than a role player. And at the time, once again, Ben Simmons anywhere in any city at that time of getting the extension was getting that money. Ben Simmons' value in the league at the time of the contract is getting that type of money. So it's not Philly handing out max contracts to Ben Simmons is some brutal issue. That's where the market of the NBA is. The market of the NBA is giving Ben Simmons that max contract at the time of doing that. So it's not really a Sixers thing. That's an NBA thing. It's not really just a Philadelphia 76ers thing. Ben Summer League highlights. I've been seeing all sorts of Ben stuff flying around town. It's wild to see how far he has fallen off with the offensive side of the basketball. It has gone in such a high direction or such a far direction or such a wrong direction of going in a different way where he was just, he was just a player that didn't have a good offensive game to this is just wow. Night and day thinking about where he is with the offensive side. They have been so soft on him as an organization from when he first got here with his family, with his team and his supporting team, not his 76ers team, but his supporting team around him, with his agent, with his brother, with everyone in this supporting cast has babied him so much. They basically got to the point where, don't worry, Ben, you don't have to play offense at all. And now look at it. $5 donation coming in from The Truth. Ben Simmons, Tobias, Maxey, 2 first for Damian Lillard, Rocco, and this Canner. I don't even know if the money is matching for something like that, but I don't think that that's a reality. So I don't think that's why would you do that if you are the Portland Trail Blazers? In what world would I trade Damian Lillard and get Ben Simmons and Tobias back and be happy about that? I don't even know what the contract is for all of that to work out, but I don't know. I don't know if that matches perfectly in terms of money, but I would not do that if I'm Portland. Why would I do that? Oh, I would trade Maxey in a package for sure. Oh no, if it costs you Maxey and you're talking about an actual point guard in this league that can ball, oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm not waiting 7 years for Maxey, 6 years, 5 years for Maxey to grow. Joel Embiid's window is not long enough to wait for Maxey to be an absolute, legitimate, insane stud, where if you have to trade Maxey with Ben Simmons to get a superstar talent, all you're wishing for is Tyrese Maxey to become that player that you're trading for. So if you can get that now without the process of waiting for him to grow, of course I'm doing that. Enough with these role players. I can't move on from them. And sure, Maxey will be a player one day. You don't have time for that for the Joel Embiid experience. If it costs Maxey to trade Ben Simmons and you get an actual stud in return, an actual stud, not a CJ McCollum, an actual stud, then yes, I'm trading Maxey in a heartbeat. I'm trading Matisse Thybulle in a heartbeat. I'm trading these younger players for a player. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Crazy. Oh, we got an NBA is rigged type of comment. The All-Star was in Atlanta. The MLB was in Atlanta. Got canceled. So they just want to give them something back. That is a horrendous take. I mean, that's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. That the NBA is rigged because the All-Star game was supposed to be in Atlanta and the MLB game was supposed to be in Atlanta. So they're allowing Atlanta to win playoff games in the NBA? God bless your brain. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Daryl says that he traded Ben to the Wolves for D'Lo. Then looked to package Tobias Maxey. I mean, you're not just like, see this narrative, like getting rid of Ben, getting rid of Tobias, getting rid of these contracts, moving on it. You're not trading the entire team. Like, it's just not how it's going to work, where you're moving on from Tobias's contract because everybody wants Tobias's contract. Like, that's not how this is going to work, where you're just blowing up everything. You're not blowing up everything. You're not. The Ben Simmons thing is real. But this narrative out here that you got to get rid of Ben, you got to get rid of Tobias, you're going to lose Danny Green, and then you're left with what? Joel and Seth Curry, and then you're trading everyone else, and then you're basically coming in with a whole new starting five. I don't think that that's reality of the situation. Now, sure, you're going to be taking calls for anyone to see what is possibly out there, but who's picking up the phone saying, I need to go get Tobias. Give me Tobias. Oh, I want that Tobias deal. And sure, you can move any deal because Al Horford got traded twice on that terrible contract. So if he can get moved, Tobias can easily get moved. But this narrative that Daryl Morey's moving on from Ben, moving on from Tobias, moving on from Maxey, moving on from this, where you're just blowing up the entire team. I don't think they're blowing up the entire team. I think they look at this as they're close. And if you can get a real point guard to play with Tobias, to play with Joel, and to play with Seth, you got yourself a hell of a basketball team. You start moving all these pieces around, And you might not be in the same position as you thought you were prior. They don't look at themselves as far, and they shouldn't look at themselves as far. They're not far. They just need a real point guard. They need a real point guard. I think they do bring Danny Green back. I saw that report that Doc Rivers was talking to Danny Green in their exit interviews, and he basically said, "You're not going anywhere. Trust me. You're going to be back." And I'd be okay with Danny Green coming back. I have no issue with Danny Green coming back and running it back with Danny, Seth, Tobias, Joel, and a real point guard. That would be amazing. If I'm the Blazers, would I accept Ben, Maxey, Thibault, 2 firsts, and maybe a second? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know if I would trade Damian Lillard for that. Damian Lillard is another level of elite of elite of elite of elite. Is Ben, Maxey, and Thibault. Like, if you go back to the James Harden deal, right? James Harden trade Brooklyn from Houston. What ended up being moved on from there? I mean, there was so much that happened in that trade, right? I mean, it was like obnoxious. Oh, it was a 3-way trade. This is where things get a little murky. Jared Allen, Prince to Cleveland, Karis LeVert, 3 first-round picks, 4 first-round picks. There were 7 draft picks involved, basically. The 4 first-rounders, 4 first-round pick swaps in between. So 7 first-round picks, basically, was in play. Think about that. When you're talking about a player like James Harden, does Ben and Matisse Thybulle with 2 first-round picks move the needle the same way you can get 7 draft picks do? Absolutely insane. Yes, I've saw that. I saw the NBA is making moves to change the way that they are calling fouls. Yes, I did see that. You're right. Damian Lillard would have to demand a trade. So these day moves are just fantasy until he does. You're right. These day moves are definitely in a spot where it's like, hey, we're just wishful thinking. We're dreaming. Now it is the NBA, and players do demand out of town. And, I've been listening to a little bit of some sports radio around town, and I keep hearing that Joel Embiid has to go recruit. This is on Joel now to fly around the city in the offseason, go to Portland, go to these states around and be like, yo, dude, go to workouts in LA. Yo, dude, let's go. You better demand out. Or text one of his buddies, yo, demand out. We'll get you. Daryl Morey, I've talked to Daryl. You demand out. We'll give this package and let's go. Let's rock in Philadelphia. It's on now for Joel as a superstar to start going around the league, telling some of his buddies, some of his boys, this is what we got going in Philly. Let's go. This is what you got to do, and we'll be all right. I mean, trust me, that shit happens all the time. Let's play together. Let's make something happen. Go tell your organization this. We'll make the proper move. I already spoke to Daryl Morey. I mean, I know it's all tampering and bullshit, but guess what? It happens all throughout the damn league. So now it's on Joel to start going around and making sure he starts talking to people. Start talking to people. You're not getting Luka Doncic for Ben Simmons, okay? The Dallas Mavericks are not going to be trading Luka Doncic for Ben Simmons. I guarantee it. But speaking of Luka, it's funny when you watch Trae Young ball, that conversation of, wow, the Hawks screwed up. The Hawks made a horrendous decision. Well, the Atlanta Hawks are going for a nice breezy ride in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals, up 1-0, while Luka Doncic is watching from home. Now, one-on-one, pure skill-wise, sure. I mean, Luka Doncic is unbelievable, and I still think one-on-one individually, when you're just looking at the skill sets, Luka Doncic is better than Trae Young, but Trae Young is killing it right now, and teams are having a hard time figuring out how he's going to be stopped. I don't think anybody's talking about Ben Simmons compared to LeBron James at all. But what people said originally was never Ben Simmons is LeBron James. He's a jump shot away from being LeBron, and that's not wrong. The body structure, the body frame, the way that they facilitate and go downhill is all very similar. If you don't see that, well then that's ridiculous. That's why the comparisons were there. If you don't see why the comparisons were there, well, then you're just absurd. I mean, it's pretty damn simple why it was there. But without the jump shot, yeah, you're not LeBron. You're not LeBron without the jump shot. LeBron couldn't shoot to save his damn life. Now he's taking turnaround jumpers, fadeaways in your face out of the post. Now he's taking deep-ass threes and hitting clutch shots. LeBron has hit a whole new element of it. Ooh, we got Ben Simmons as David Hale. That's where we're at. That's where we are at. Ben Simmons is David Hale. Huh. Heard it said that Ben needs to play and work with LeBron. Imagine that. LA has nothing to give up for Ben. Ben Simmons on that team would be a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Ben Simmons playing with AD, standing there underneath the basket doing nothing. Although AD stretches out the floor, but where would he play? Ben Simmons is not going to be the point guard. That would be LeBron James. You can't do anything with, you don't have enough shooting. That would be horrendous. That would be a horrendous fit for LeBron and the Lakers to play with Ben Simmons. That would be horrible. Why hasn't Brett Brown gotten an interview for a coaching job? Well, he's still getting paid by the Sixers, and he put his feet up, and he's not coaching at all. So he even said, I'm not coaching Australia. I'm not coaching for the Sixers, of course. I lost my job. Give me my money. I'm relaxing. So Brett Brown's just chilling, getting paid, watching the Sixers fail and the Sixers struggle. The Lakers spacing would be a total atrocious with Ben Simmons. Any team spacing is totally atrocious with Ben Simmons. That's the reality of the situation. It doesn't matter. It's any of them. It's any team. It's any player. It's any of them. Do you players in mind that you would entertain for Ben? Do you players in mind? Do I have players in mind? I don't know the market, Brendan. I don't know the market because this postseason ruined everything. This postseason ruined his stock so much where there is a market for him. It's just not as high as we probably anticipated. So I don't know what the market is. There is a market. The market's just probably lower than previously expected. So I don't know right now. It's a very odd situation. It's very strange and bizarre. I'm a Hawks fan, but I would like to know why Elton Brand is not fired. Well, because he wasn't the one. There's so much deeper involved in what happened with those contracts where Elton Brand did not have say when he was general manager. You had people and individuals upstairs making player personnel decisions and forcing information down upon Elton Brand and everybody else. There was an organizational failure from the structure prior to Daryl Morey getting here where those contracts and everything that went down with Elton Brand as GM, it was way above him and things happening way above him that forced the organization to make certain decisions where that's why EB is not fired is because they know that he probably wasn't the one doing that. And Joshua Harris, David Blitzer, the ownership group was doing stupid things, forcing the organization to go in such a bad way and down such a horrendous path that's why he's not fired. And now he's not even making he's not even making all the decisions. That's why Daryl Morey is here. So that's why he's not fired, because the organization made some of those mistakes, not EB, even though he was in the chair. Joshua Harris and the way the organization was ran was at fault more so than the general manager. Elton Brand was a straight puppet. Exactly. That's exactly what he was. Oh, I missed a donation. I apologize. I was trying to scroll up and see it. I did. Thank you for whoever pointed that out. But yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. Elton Brand was basically a puppet. $2 donation. Keep Ben and add Dinwiddie. I don't want to keep Ben Simmons. I will be disgusted if I have to watch another season of Ben Simmons. I will be gutted because the 82 games would be nothing. Watching the same offense, no pick and roll, not being able to run normal sets, and whatever I saw in regular season play of transition basketball and fast pace, that's all great and dandy. I don't care because it doesn't matter, because you won't see any of that in the playoffs. You won't see any of it. So watching him perform in transition and hit a wide open Seth Curry running super fast against the Cleveland Cavaliers would mean nothing to me. Would mean nothing to me. Nothing at all. It would mean nothing. So I'd be wasting my entire time. I don't want Ben Simmons. Don't want it. No, that's not true. It's not true. The narrative that no one is going to want him is not true. It does matter what type of compensation is in return, but he falls in that category of what if. He falls in that category of what if you can get the most out of him. He falls in that category of what if you can get him to get a jump shot. He falls in that category of what if you can get into that untapped potential. He falls in that category of the ceiling is too high for him, where he's always going to have some sort of value. So it's not you're stuck with him. I don't agree that you are absolutely 100% stuck with him. Teams would be willing to take a chance. I do agree with my own thought process there. Do I think he's overrated? I don't really know. I don't know how he's rated right now, though. I don't think how he's rated. I think his upside was properly reported on. And I think before this playoff run, I think his ceiling was properly discussed. So I don't think he was overrated before because you were looking at the potential of him. Now, I don't know how he's rated. So I don't know if he's overrated. He's probably rated right now. He's probably rated at the perfect amount right now. Yeah, you're right. There was a time where I thought that Zach LaVine wasn't enough compensation in return. But now it's a no-brainer. I'd take Zach LaVine in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. What? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? I got to end it. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today in Coffee with Brodes. I appreciate it. We got one more day left this week. One more day. It's Thursday. This week was a little slow for me. I don't know what happened. Just a slow, weird, awkward week. I lost track of days. Is it Thursday? Is it Friday? Is it this? Is it that? Just crazy. But thank you all so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning.